But how can you rebuild it if it was obliterated?
But I'm just saying, but why do you think China and Russia is...
But how can you rebuild it if it was obliterated?
Just like I've already explained that. How do you rebuild your legs after you shatter them? How do you rebuild a house after it's been knocked down by a tornado or a hurricane? You can rebuild things.
Sometimes an interview reveals more about leadership than any speech ever could. Not just in what's said, but in how it holds up under pressure. If you care about accountability, consider subscribing. In this clip, CNN's Kaitlan Collins speaks with Senator Markwayne Mullin, a figure now being considered for a major DHS role. And that context matters, because this isn't just conversation. It's a test of how someone handles serious national security questions in real time. So as you watch, pay attention not just to the answers, but to whether they actually hold up.
My lead source tonight is Republican Senator Markwayne Mullin of Oklahoma, who sits on the Armed Services Committee. And thank you, Senator, for being here. Absolutely. You know, given what the American people heard from the administration, not just last summer, but since then, how would you explain to them the urgency in the administration's posture now on Iran and this kind of, we hope the talks work. If not, we're prepared to take action.
Well, we made it very clear that we would never allow Iran to have a nuclear weapon. And we tried to, underneath the Bush administration, the Biden administration, and the Obama administration, they tried to negotiate the enrichment process and, for peaceful energy development. But we also knew the whole time that Ayatollah was chanting death to America and was building these delivery systems where they could deliver a nuclear weapon. And then we found out their enrichment was reaching that percentage point to where there was a point of no return. There's no way we can allow that to happen. They would disrupt the world economy if that took place. And our economy is tied into the world economy. I don't care which way you look at it. But the president is not interested in regime change. I want to make that very clear. If we were wanting regime change, we could have done that during the 12-day war. The president came out very clearly during the 12-day war and said, we know where you're at. We also know where your leadership is, and we can take you out, but we'd prefer diplomacy. We don't want to create a vacuum like what happened in Iraq when we pulled out of Iraq and ISIS, Al-Qaeda, and all the other terrorist organizations flooded to that region. We know that could possibly take place, but a nuclear Iran is bad for the entire world. It's bad for the economy. Remember, this is the #1 sponsor of terror around the world, and they make no bones about who their enemy is. They chant death to America since 1979, and so as long as the Ayatollah is going to continue to try to rebuild the system that he said he wasn't going to do. That's why we ended the 12-day war, because they said they were done trying to build a nuclear weapon, yet they're obviously trying to rebuild it.
Right,
we're not going to let that happen.
If we obliterated it, we being the United States last summer, then why are you worried about it right now?
Because they're rebuilding it, and you can see them rebuilding it.
But it was not obliterated.
Well, but it doesn't mean you can't rebuild. I mean, people have car accidents and obliterate their bones and their legs, and yet they can still put they can still put metal back in them and walk again.
But I think if it was obliterated in June, how is it February? And we're now, as Steve Witkoff put it, a week away from Iran having this.
I don't know. I can't speak for Steve. I haven't got those reports, and I've been read in on some of these programs. And so I don't know what Steve was looking at. I don't say he's wrong or right. I just haven't seen those reports. I do know that the president said that they had 10 or 15 days. The president doesn't bluff to stop pushing forward with rebuilding their nuclear sites. And by the way, if it takes us removing the Ayatollah from keeping the nuclear program from moving forward, then that's not off the table. But we would prefer diplomacy. The reason why the president has put so much resources in the region is because he wants options, and Chairman Kaine is providing those options for him.
Right, but that would be regime change if they took the Ayatollah out.
If that's what it takes to keep them from keeping their nuclear weapon.
How far do you support that going? I mean, would this be a one and done strike, or would you support a limited military operation?
I don't think we have to put boots on the ground. I don't think that's necessary. We were able to track them down once. We can definitely track them down again. The thing is that I want to make this very clear, Kaitlan. We are not wanting regime change, but the person that's leading this effort is the Ayatollah. Remember in 1979 when he came to power, he was saying that he wanted to be a nuclear Iran. And we have been preventing that from taking place. And when we stopped bombing them, because we could have obliterated them and him during the 12-day war. We chose not to because he said he wasn't going to pursue it. Now that he is pursuing it, the one person that's driving this is the Ayatollah. That one person may have to be removed, but we don't think he's suicidal, but maybe he is.
Well, it's not just him. It could be layers. But you said boots on the ground. We all did watch last night as a pilot who helped in Venezuela with that raid got a Medal of Honor from the president. I mean, it's not boots on the ground that means military presence. It could involve U.S. pilots as well if there is an extended operation.
Well, anything that we do when we're in enemy territory is a risk. And the men and women that volunteered to serve in our great military, they understand the risk. What we want to do is mitigate that risk as much as possible, but it's still danger. And when you mitigate a risk, what is mitigation? Are you doing, is your risk threshold at 50%, 30%, 20%, 10%? What is it? But there's still always risk when you're...
What's your threshold? I mean, do you support a strike if that's what the president decides?
Absolutely. There is no way, Kaitlan, we can allow Iran to have a nuclear weapon. Can you imagine the destabilization they can have to the world trade by controlling the Suez Canal or the majority of the world's oil? Because energy is the backbone of our economy and of everybody's economy. And they produce so much of it, and they got to ship it. And if you have a nuclear Iran that is sitting right there in the middle of it, they can control the oil coming out of Iraq, out of Saudi Arabia, out of UAE, out of Kuwait.
I think people see the risks for sure, obviously, in a nuclear-armed Iran. I think it's just hard sometimes to get your head around that we were told last summer it was obliterated. And now we're saying a strike might be necessary if the talks don't work.
But obliterating is much different than rebuilding it. They are perfectly trying to rebuild it. Why do you think China and Russia is silent on this? But how can you rebuild it if it was obliterated? But I'm just saying, but why do you think China and Russia is...
But how can you rebuild it if it was obliterated?
I've already explained that. How do you rebuild your legs after you shatter them? How do you rebuild a house after it's been knocked down by a tornado or a hurricane? You can rebuild things.
Look closely at that moment. You don't even need commentary. The reaction on Kaitlan Collins' face already tells you something isn't adding up. Because here's what's really being tested, not just a policy position, but the logic behind it. When an explanation relies on strained analogies, like comparing nuclear infrastructure to broken bones or a damaged house, it starts to drift away from clarity and into deflection. And that's the tell. Instead of answering a direct question, the response becomes more abstract, more scattered, more disconnected from the original claim. This is where the contradiction begins to surface. If something was described as obliterated, then the burden is to explain that clearly and consistently. But when the explanation shifts under pressure, it raises a deeper question. Is this about informing the public or managing the narrative? And you can feel that tension in real time. The confidence starts to waver. The explanation becomes harder to follow. Not because the issue is too complex, but because the answer isn't holding together. Then notice what happens next. Rather than resolving the inconsistency, the conversation pivots. A new topic is introduced. The focus moves on. And that shift matters. Because in political interviews, the ability or inability to stay grounded in a clear, consistent answer often tells you more than the answer itself.
You can build a lot back on a foundation once the top of it's removed. And so the structure, if the structure of the foundation is there, they can start rebuilding.
We'll see what the president decides. I do want to ask, because the nominee to be the next Surgeon General was in front of your committee today, and there was a moment during that hearing where it became contentious, not between you and the nominee, but between you and Senator Bernie Sanders.
So how about we work together and say, hey, so scrap ACA, admit it doesn't work, admit you guys made a mistake, and let's work at something with President Trump to make affordable healthcare healthy and affordable for everybody. But there's zero chance you guys could do that. Zero chance. Yet everybody we bring up here, you guys chastise for trying to make changes. God forbid we change and go after and try to fix our broken system. Anyways, I ranted too long. Let's talk about some...
Yes, you did.
I'm sorry, I didn't ask your opinion on that. And if I cared about your opinion, I would ask you, but I don't care about your opinion.
Well,
you're part of the system. You're part of the problem. You've been sitting here longer than I've even been alive. This is your problem. You should have fixed this a long time ago. You've been railing on it so long. What have you been doing?
I've decided not to run for Surgeon General. You're the nominee. I've decided not to accept that nominee.
That is definitely something we would never accept.
I mean, what happened there?
Bernie and I just don't see eye to eye. You know, he's a socialist that I have no respect for. You keep in mind, right before Christmas, I had a bill that was unanimous consent Republicans, Democrats, everybody was supporting it. And it was to give kids a chance, kids with terminal illness, to have a chance to have experimental drugs to have access to. And Bernie Sanders came out there and blocked it. Why? Because he had some socialist health care program he was more important to him. In this case right here, he had just railed off saying that Republicans were responsible for expensive health care. And I was like, ACA climbed 3 times faster, affordable health care, 3 times faster than inflation.
But Bernie Sanders famously doesn't like that.
Yeah,
he does not like the ACA.
But he voted for it, and he's voted for it every time it came up, and he continues to protect it. But he wants universal health care. He wants socialized health care. I'm just not for that. And I can get along with anybody. I can get along with you. I can get along with I can get along with most Democrats, as long as I feel like you believe in that flag, that it's the most beautiful flag in the world, as I do, and not want to change it to a socialist government.
I just think some people might see that exchange and say, well, Bernie Sanders, I mean, like him or not, agree with him or not, I mean, he has fought to bring down health care costs.
And he has done zero for it. What has he accomplished? He's fought on health care for 40 years, and he's done nothing. We've seen health care rise through the roof. We've seen the Democrats lie when they said it was going to be affordable health care, and it's not affordable.
Republicans are in power now, and the president has tried to...
we would love to change it.
Well, what have Republicans done on health care? Somebody might say in response to that.
We would love to bring down a lot of the mandates that's caused it to go through the roof. We'd love to bring in competition again. We'd love to start looking at the PBM.
But there's no plan so far from
No, we have. We actually have a bipartisan bill that we've tried to pass out of PBM when that guy, Chairman Bernie Sanders at the time, refused to bring it up in his own committee. We brought it up in committee, and he's voted against it. PBMs are a big cost riser to what you see in prescription drugs. And so the president decided he's going to bring in most favored nation and bring down costs that way. Well, that's great. Why didn't other presidents do it? President Trump is doing it. But you want to start talking about...
I just think a comprehensive health care...
This is where the conversation shifts from foreign policy to something just as revealing, healthcare. And suddenly, a different kind of contradiction comes into focus. Because listen closely to the argument being made. On one hand, Democrats are labeled ineffective or obstructionist. But on the other hand, for years, the central Republican position has been to dismantle the Affordable Care Act without a clearly defined replacement that matches its scope. And that tension matters. Because in a functioning democracy, criticism alone isn't enough. If you're going to argue that a system doesn't work, the expectation is that you present a coherent alternative, something concrete, something people can evaluate. But when the message becomes, this doesn't work, without a clear, here's what does, it raises a deeper question. Is the goal to improve the system, or simply to oppose it? That's the structural issue underneath this debate. Not just policy differences, but competing approaches to governance itself. One side arguing for reform or expansion, the other focusing on rollback, yet without consistently articulating what replaces it. And that's why this moment stands out. Because it highlights a pattern voters have seen for years. Big promises, strong criticism, but often a lack of detailed follow-through when it comes to implementation. So again, the question isn't just who's right or wrong, it's whether the arguments being made actually lead to workable solutions, or just keep the conversation stuck in the same loop.
Now, let's talk about Mr. O'Brien himself, his behavior. As everybody knows, and it's here, and the last time, him and I kind of had a back and forth. Appreciate your demeanor today. It's quite different. But after you left here, you got pretty excited about the keyboard. In fact, you tweeted at me 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times. And let me read what the last one said. It said, greedy CEO who pretends like he's self-made. Sir, I wish you was in the truck with me when I was building my plumbing company myself, and my wife was running the office, because I sure remember working pretty hard and long hours. Pretends like he's self-made. What a clown. Fraud. Always has been, always will be. Quit the tough guy act in these Senate hearings. You know where to find me. Any place, anytime, cowboy. Sir, this is a time, this is a place. If you want to run your mouth, we can be two consenting adults. We can finish it here.
Okay, that's fine. Perfect.
You want to do it now?
I'd love to do it right now.
Well, stand your butt up then.
You stand your butt up.
Oh, hold on. Oh, stop it.
Is that your solution every problem?
No, sit down. Sit down. Look at you. You know, you're a United States Senator. Sit down.
Active.
Oh, okay.
Sit down, please.
All right.
Can I respond? Mr.
Hold it. If we can't, no, I have the mic. I'm sorry.
This is what he said.
You'll have your time.
Okay.
Can I respond?
Oh, no, you can't. This is a hearing. And God knows the American people have enough contempt for Congress. Let's not
I don't
make
like
it worse.
thugs and bullies.
You have,
And that's
you
what-
have,
I don't like you because you
Hold
just
it.
described yourself.
Hold it. You have the mic.
Yeah.
You have time.
All right.
Make your statement.
Then let's do this, because I did challenge you and I accepted your challenge, and you went quiet.
No, I didn't go quiet. I was.
Hold on.
You challenged me to a cage match,
No,
acting like a
sir.
12-year-old schoolyard
Hold
bully.
it. Excuse me. Hold it. No, excuse me. I have the
I
mic.
will say exactly.
Senator Mullin, I have the mic. You have questions on any economic issues, anything that said, go for it. We're not here to talk about physical abuse.
You brought.
We're not
him
talking
in.
about, of course I
And,
did.
and let me show you his hearing, because I want to expose this thug to who he is. And
Could you not point at me? That's disrespectful.
All right.
I don't care about respecting you at all. I respect
don't
people
respect
that I
you at all.
respect. So
All right, hold it.
let me
Hold it. No.
You're one of
Hold
the most
Hold
elite
it,
people.
please.
Act it.
Please. All right. This is excuse me.
Mm-hmm.
This is a hearing to discuss economic issues. All right. If you have questions for Mr. O'Brien or anybody else on what he has said, go for it. But we're not here to talk about fights or anything else.
I'm quoting exactly what he said.
You can
and
say
this
what you
is-
want,
This is
but-
your witness
This
you
is
brought.
my
And let me.
witness.
I'm exposing him.
You can
as a
talk
person
anything you
who
want.
he is. So in
But no fight-
2013
Nope.
and 20 charges.
Mr. O'Brien, do you want to respond to
Yeah, go
the
ahead,
question?
please.
Yeah, I mean, look, the reality of it is, you
Accept
know,
my challenge,
Mr.
tough guy.
Mullin, tough guy.
Answer, hold it. Answer the questions.
All right, you're one. He
Please.
made a lot of statements, right? And his statements are fiction at best.
Fiction. I read them.
Can he answer?
What?
Answer the question, please.
I can't understand him, to be honest with you.
All right.
He rambles so much. What was your question, actually?
Well, you said I made a lot of statements.
No, but what's your question? I don't understand your question. Could you repeat it?
You said anytime, any place.
What's your question?
Accept the challenge.
What challenge?
You said anytime, any place. I'm accepting yours, so why don't you come
What
back?
challenge? What challenge are you talking
April
about?
30th. How about we do it for charity at the Smoking Guns in Tulsa, Oklahoma?
We're not going to be
what was the
talking about
challenge?
physical
What are you talking
confrontations here.
You want to fight me?
What'd you say by anytime, any place?
Let's have coffee, discuss our differences.
Oh, that's what you said.
Yeah, that's right, exactly.
All right, well, let's sit down and have coffee.
Let's
I'd
do
love
it.
to.
All right.
I'd love to.
But
It's funny how you're backing out.
Okay.
I don't back on anything.
You did.
You're the one. You're a 100.
Senator-
Should be the most influential people in this country making changes.
Senator
You're
Hassan-
focused on.
Okay.
You're
Thank
focused
you.
on
Why did
debate
you-
that's not
why
even
did you
relevant.
keep texting
You're
me
an
and they
embarrassment.
got
You're an
silent?
embarrassment.
They
That's
went
what you are.
silence after
You're an
after
embarrassment to the
my text.
state of
This
Oklahoma.
hearing is about the condition of the working class in America.
You
That's
brought a
what we're
thug
talking.
into this.
You're the biggest thug here.
You brought him in.
All right,
You're the biggest thug. Even your colleagues call you
why
a
you do
joke.
what you're doing, Senator Hassan.
What you're watching here isn't just a heated exchange between Senator Markwayne Mullin and Bernie Sanders. It's a breakdown in the basic standards people expect from leadership. Because at some point, this stops being about policy and becomes about temperament. When a sitting senator like Markwayne Mullin shifts into personal confrontation, trading insults and escalating the moment, it doesn't project strength. It raises a more serious question. Is this how someone in power handles pressure and disagreement? And that contrast becomes even clearer when you look at how Bernie Sanders responds, trying to bring the conversation back to order, back to the purpose of the hearing. And that's the real issue. In a democracy, leadership isn't just about what you argue. It's about how you carry yourself while doing it. So when that standard slips, people notice. Not because they expect perfection, but because they expect accountability from those in positions of power. That's the takeaway here.